this recording on the computer. All right. Good morning, everyone. I am so stinking excited about our special team call this bright and early Saturday morning in Hawaii. Before we get started and I introduce our very, very special guest, let's go ahead and take some breaths real quick. So grab an oil that is calling to you. And I am going to grab some wild orange this morning. And join us if you feel so inclined. And go ahead and place your hand over your heart if you're feeling in the mood and repeat after me. I am doing the best that I can. I am doing the best that I can. I am doing the best that I can. All right. Okay, so for those of you that have been around for a while, you know this woman well. You've met her at conventions. You've met her on Maui. She used to live here, and I had the pleasure of actually attending an aroma touch training in Paia quite a few years ago with Arin and her mom, Rose. But Arin Fugate is our Blue Diamond leader. So let's give her like a little whoop. And you guys, I don't know if you realize, because many of you all pretty much know my story. Arin is truly my personal mentor in this business. Arin is quite a few ways up from our team in our organization, but she has never she's always been available to me. She's never, no matter how small of a team we were until now, she has just always been there to support me and offer guidance. And as you guys know, she helps to run the Visionary Leaders Group, and they give us so much amazing education and opportunity to learn and to connect and to grow. There are not enough amazing things. She shut down, if we want to talk about convention speakers, last year she closed out convention with her heartfelt and truly amazing and inspirational story of her journey in doTERRA. And I am so thrilled and grateful that she took time out of her day to join us, and I just can't wait to hear her share with all of us a little bit about her story and tips she has for us in the biz. So we're just going to treat this as like a real, just comfortable conversation. Arin's going to share. If you have any questions, pop them into the chat. And at the end, maybe we'll have a little time for open Q&A. So Arin, thank you so much for being just such an amazing mentor for me in this business. I honestly am so grateful, and I know I can always turn to you and count on you for guidance and support, and that's meant the world to me. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Aw, thank you, Liza. I was just thinking this morning that if I was like enrolling with doTERRA today and I could kind of interview upline, I would want to join Liza's team, right? For real, girlfriend, for real. She's so awesome, the most amazing leader. She walks the talk. She has the skills, and wow, just the way she starts your team call. You guys are so lucky, and just tons of gratitude. Let's give Liza a bunch of love. Thank you. Thank you. I love seeing all your beautiful faces and just getting the island vibes. It makes me so happy. I have a very special place in my heart for Maui. I always call it my second home. And one day I will have a second home there. That is my mission. My mission. I want to take my little girls and spend a couple of months every year in Hawaii because it's just such a sacred place to me. And it actually has a place in my story that I didn't get to share at convention. And I kind of thought, since some of you did see my speech at convention, you know my story, but there are some aspects of my story that I don't know, maybe I didn't share for various reasons. And I'd love to kind of give you a little bit more of the details, especially the part that includes Hawaii. And I definitely want time to chat and, talk about your business and stuff. So how long is your call, Eliza?
We don't really have a time limit for these. When we do these special calls, we normally keep them about 45 minutes to an hour. But if people have to come and go, they can feel free. So I mean, for those that haven't heard your story, I would love them to hear part of it because it is truly epic. And I know those of us like Jan and Toddy, we were all there, and Kate and Kanani, but we do not mind hearing parts of it again. So feel free to share.
Okay, cool. So I'll share it, but I want to leave some time that we can really connect and I can hear what's going on in your life and your business, and just offer my support and my connection. So I, like many, had a pretty rough childhood. My parents were both addicts. My dad started his journey to sobriety when I was 4 years old, and it continued for a good 15 years of in and out of NA. And he ended up passing away in his early 60s, mostly from complications of a lifelong addiction. My mom also struggled with addiction, more of a functioning addict. She got sober 3 years before she died. When I was 9 years old, my mom moved me into a spiritual commune and took me out of school. And I lived there until I was 16, and really just on a extreme path with God. Like, I gave my life to God, and that was everything until one day I kind of discovered that there was some evil going on in that situation. And I began to ask questions, and they kicked me out. Luckily, they bought me a one-way ticket to Maui. I mean, how lucky is that, right? They're like, "You're asking too many questions, out of here. Here you go to Maui." And so the island has such a special place for me because I was literally thrown there at 16 years old with no education. They gave me a place to live for 6 months, and I had a little bit of money, but it was pretty much 6 months of kind of being taken care of. And then I was out on my own, and oh my goodness, what a shock to learn about the world, because I had been so sheltered from such a young age. So I definitely made a bunch of mistakes when I lived there, and kind of learned like some hard truths about life. And I ended up coming back to the mainland and just tried to put my life together. I got my GED when I was 21. So I stopped going to school at 9 years old. I wasn't homeschooled. It was like, I don't even know. No school. And so I kind of figured it out, and I passed the GED, and then I wanted to go to college. I really wanted an education, and I wanted to have what I thought was a normal life. So I studied really hard, and I passed the SATs and actually got scholarship and got into a college. And my plan was to be a chiropractor. I always loved helping people, and I had worked in a chiropractic office for a summer and just loved all the herbs. And I think they even had oils there, and my mom had always had oils. And I was just on that track for being a healthcare provider, kind of on the more alternative side, because I had grown up with that alternative medicine. My mom had always used oils with me, and I knew from a young age that there were solutions from the earth. So I was really excited to do that. And, unfortunately, I don't know if any of you have been through addiction, or you have family members who are addicts, or if you've been through any trauma or abuse, but something kind of happens when you don't necessarily take the time to heal that. And I didn't even really know how to heal it. But what happens is you sometimes find yourself in similar patterns. And so when I was 21 years old, I ended up in a relationship with a man who started to beat me. out of the blue. Like I had no idea. He was one of those completely charismatic, everybody loved him. Um, and people were shocked when they found out that he was an abuser, myself included, absolutely shocking. And it was a real, I mean, one thing about my story and why I'm so passionate about helping women own their power is when I found myself in this domestic violence experience, I didn't even know that there was a phone number you could call. Like I didn't know that there was any such thing as a women's shelter. I thought I was completely alone. Um, I didn't even know what to do. I was shocked. So it took me 3 months to like figure out how to escape. And it was an extremely traumatic experience. So now I've piled trauma on top of trauma, right? First, I grew up in this commune cult. I call it a cult now. Didn't really know anything about the world. Then I'm in this domestic abuse relationship. I get out of that and I did a little bit of counseling offered through the university, but not very much. And so again, I didn't heal and I dropped out of school. I ruined my credit because I couldn't pay for my car loan and I was just an absolute mess. And I kind of found myself in the entertainment industry. I don't even know how I got there. I ended up moving to Los Angeles and got a couple of odd jobs. And just before I knew it, I was throwing parties. I was working as a photographer. I was kind of working like this gig type lifestyle, really stressed out, really unhealthy. And I started using drugs, which for me, like, I don't know if I can really explain how far from who I wanted to be that was. I had grown up with a dad who, when I was 4 years old, he came to me and told me that he was using drugs and trying to recover, like a 4-year-old trying, like being approached with that. So from a young age, I thought drugs were horrible and not anything I ever wanted to do. So for me to fall down that path was like the ultimate sign of lack of self-respect. And I was in so much pain, emotional pain, and suffering from all that trauma and not really knowing a way out that I just got to this dark place where I actually didn't really even care about life. But I think there was always this little bit of, I could always hear God's voice, is really how I like to put it. And I'm very non denominational. When I say God, it's whatever you believe in, like if the Holy Spirit, the universe, the goddess, the earth, like I'm so all encompassing with that. I've always just had a very deep connection to something that is a higher power. And so even in my darkest days, waking up after a weekend of drug use and doing things that were completely dangerous for my life and completely out of self-respect, I still would be able to like hear that voice that said, you are meant for something more. Like there's something more for you. And like a light that was guiding me even in my darkest days. And I finally got to the point in my life where I was homeless. So I didn't have anywhere to live. I was living out of my car. I was definitely like really deep into use and turning to not only drugs, but alcohol for self-medication. I was super sad. I had like failed relationship after failed relationship. And most importantly, I had always known that I had a purpose on this planet. I always wanted to inspire people. I always wanted to be like a force in this world. So the most painful part of this story for me was that I wasn't doing anything to make the world a better place. If anything, I was contributing to some of the evils and the destruction in this world. And so that hurt my soul so much. And one day I just decided, I literally just decided, and I think it was after a pretty bad kind of run of bad things that had happened to me. And I probably had used a lot of drugs the night before and woke up like in a really bad place. And it was just like that morning, I said, no more. I was done treating myself that way. And I was done avoiding the path that I knew was before me if I had chosen yes. And I just kind of picked myself up and I went to my mom's house and I said, I need to heal. Like, I need to heal. And she had oils, right? And they were always like mom's weird medicine or whatever, like hippie medicine, I think I would call it. But in this moment, I just thought, I think I need what my mom has. And so I just started to dip back into that. And I started going to yoga every day. I started meditating. I started reading personal development books. I was definitely detoxing because I just quit drugs like cold turkey. And I was praying. I was praying a lot, like, please show me, guide me. What should I do? What is meant for me in this life? And I kind of considered going back into health and wellness. And there was this moment, I remember it so clearly. I was in yoga class, and at the end of yoga, they do Shavasana. And if anybody's yogis here, Shavasana is my favorite pose, but it actually means the corpse pose. And what they mean by this is, like, just imagine for a moment if you could lay down, close your eyes, and when you open your eyes, you're reborn. All of your transgressions are washed away. Anything that you judge about yourself, anything bad that happened into your life, like, you're given the opportunity to just start again. And that's what the corpse pose is about. Like, let it all go and start again after each practice. And in this one particular Shavasana, I was laying there and I was just praying, like, guide me, guide me, guide me. And a voice came to me and said, Arin, you have to teach. And literally, ladies, I don't know if there's any guys on here, ladies and guys, I was a mess. Like, I was a mess. Like, I was a drug addict. I had no education. I didn't have a job. Every relationship was failed. I wasn't a good person. I wasn't in any position where I had anything to teach. And I kind of told that voice, like, you're crazy. And I do not know what you are talking about. I can't teach anything. But there's a truth about prayer. And it's that, like, when you ask for guidance, if you get guidance, you have to listen, and you have to listen without judgment. You just have to listen. You just have to say yes and listen. So I knew well enough in that moment to be like, okay, I have to teach. Like, even though I'm laughing, I'm going, whatever, I have to teach. And I kid you not, I walked out of that yoga studio, and in the lobby, there was a man who came up to me and he said, I hear you have an essential oil mom. And I was like, yeah, that's my crazy mom with her crazy essential oils. And he was like, have you heard of doTERRA? And I went, no, what's doTERRA? And he started to tell me about this new essential oil company that had not even launched yet, and the story of Dr. Hill and Emily Wright and how they had come together to create the purest, most beautiful essential oils on the planet. And then this is the clincher. This is what he said, where I knew it was a direct message from my divine guidance system. And what he said was, they're looking for teachers. They're looking for people who will educate others about essential oils. And, like, I could start crying just thinking about it right now, because it was like that moment of, oh my goodness, like, I can do that. I can do that. And I just grabbed onto the fact that I could do that. I knew about essential oils. I knew that they worked. I knew they were amazing. I knew that people would love them. And even though I didn't have an education, I was bright. I was smart. I knew that I could learn and I could teach and I could share. And I just dove in head first. It's like the ultimate story of ignorance on the fire. I knew nothing about network marketing. I didn't have, really any experience in sales. And I just said yes. I had only $150 in my bank account, bad credit, so no credit card. I was probably working some kind of part-time job, but not making much money. I spent every last dollar on my kit of essential oils. And then about a month later, he said, so there's this thing happening in Salt Lake City. It's kind of like a convention. Do you want to go? And I was like, I don't have any money. And he said, I'll pay for you to go. And so he bought my plane ticket. He paid my hotel room. And I got to go to the pre-launch doTERRA convention with only 300 people in the room. And Dr. Hill went A to Z, every single oil, spent about 4 hours on this presentation. I also learned about the Lifelong Vitality Pack there. And at this convention, I, in my heart, said, this is what's going to heal me. This is how I'm going to clean my system of drugs. This is how I'm going to clean the trauma. This is how I'm going to deal with like all these health conditions. And then I'm going to tell everyone, because everyone needs these essential oils. And that's pretty much what I did. And I spent my first year just using the products and getting them on me and talking to everyone I knew about it. And within that first year, I didn't have the money for my loyalty rewards order, like broke, like government assistance broke. And so I would buy oils to resell. I actually bought the little intro kits, and I would just resell them, kind of my sampling program. And so after a year, my check paid for my oils. The next year I became silver. I structured for power of 3, not thinking about rank. And so what happened is I just became a platinum without even really knowing what that was, because I structured for power of 3. And this is one of the things I love about your team, is Eliza teaches that because she knows the power. If you structure for power of 3, build for power of 3, it will set you up for platinum. And that's exactly what happened in my journey with doTERRA. Now, the other little part of the story that a lot of people don't know is I became a gold, and gold income for me was more than I ever imagined possible. And so I decided I was going to retire and move to Hawaii, which I did. But then this thing happens in doTERRA, which is like, it's a snowball effect and the train gets rolling. So even though I moved to Hawaii, my team was asking me to fly back to Oregon every month. So for the 2 years that I lived there, I was flying back to Oregon every month. And my business ended up becoming a diamond business while living there, not necessarily because of enrollments in Hawaii, but because of my team back in Oregon. And so I kind of like, the business pulled me out of retirement and asked me to go deeper and to heal more and to learn more and to lean more into leadership. And it's just been an incredible journey ever since. It's 12 years now. I'm a blue diamond in doTERRA. I married the love of my life, and we have 2 cute little baby girls. And now I'm just extremely passionate about, number one, helping women realize that they can have independence and health and wellness, but also helping people who are suffering with addiction, and knowing that addiction is often based in unhealed trauma. Really understanding that these oils can heal those pathways in our brain. They can detox our bodies from the addiction, and we can help people have completely a brand new chance at life, let alone the beauty of the business, which also gives us so many more opportunities. So that's kind of my story with Milk Brain, because I have a little 3-month-old. So if I missed anything important, Eliza, tell me.
No, you did great. I just wanted to read some of my comments in here, because I've heard your story several times, and like several of us, it always gives me chicken skin. And I think it, most importantly, it just reminds me that there are people out there that need us, not just the oils. Everyone needs the oils, but need us and this community, need us and connection, need us and support, and need something that calls to them to take a path. And it's just such, even though I've heard it before, it's just such an incredible story. And so thank you for sharing it with us. I also like that, you talk about sort of the sacrifice of being willing to invest every single cent that you had. It kind of reminds me of the owner's sort of origin story that they told at the beginning. Like, you were called to do something. And not that I would ever necessarily ask people like leverage everything, but when you're called to do something, and like, even we know so many people who are like, I don't have money for the loyalty words. I want to, if you can be creative, and like what you did, use your loyalty rewards order some months as a way to sample people or resell those oils and keep it alive. Like, where there's a will, there's a way, basically. So I absolutely love that part. And then here's the other thing, and you kind of said it. It's like, I feel like this is going to be me inadvertently too, and of course, because you're my mentor and idol in this business, but it's like you could have retired, right? At that point, you could have taken that money that you were getting and looked at it and gone, this is more money than I ever thought I would make. I mean, that's definitely how I feel. But it's more of the, I still have something to give. I still have people to help. I still have people to inspire and support. And that commitment to helping others grow their businesses, connect with the oils, and heal from all that trauma is just is so inspirational and admirable and admirable. And I feel like I'll be the same too. Like I'll never stop. The money will be enough. The money's already enough, but it's that I'll always feel a sense of commitment to these people that have said yes. So my mom said, your mom, who we both had the pleasure of meeting, is so proud of you for healing yourself and your past, present, and future family. Just decide, life-changing words. So yeah, so thank you so much for sharing your story. So uh, let's move a little bit into business then. And you guys, we're totally doing this on the fly, but Arin, I would love to hear, like, what are your top tip or tips that you have for everybody in the biz? You kind of dropped one about Power of Three, and that's something that you and I see eye to eye on very much so. But what else you got for us today?
Oh, that's a fun question. Absolutely. I'm just going to keep echoing that. Like, the owners created the Power of Three for a reason. Like, it's a gift to us. And I guess a little mindset that might help you there is the Power of Three is like training wheels to get you to platinum and beyond. So a lot of people will say, like, should I build Power of Three or rank? And I say both, but know that, like, the Power of Three is like, get your motor going so that then you can enjoy the benefits of having all your unilevel opened up, which actually happens at silver. So both, it's always both. My other advice is to take action before you're ready. This is probably like the biggest obstacle I see with people is they want everything to be aligned. They want it all to be ready. They want to know everything about the oils, have all the supplies, whatever it is, before they take any action. And I truly believe that when we take, like, imperfect action, that is good, because it shows other people that they can take imperfect action, and that we're all kind of just doing this together. And sure, it is wonderful when you are fully educated on all the oils and you know how to guide someone through that. So I'm not saying don't do your education, but don't wait around until all the circumstances are perfect before you take action. I made every mistake, tons of mistakes. I still make mistakes, but it's like that saying of, I'm going to fail forward. I'm going to stumble my way to the top. Because if I'm just sitting on the couch not doing anything in the guise of getting ready, then I'm missing out on so many opportunities. And that kind of leads into my third bit of advice, which is enroll up or recruit up. And what that means is you want to actually bring on business partners who are smarter than you, who are wiser than you, who are more well networked than you. Like, if you enroll someone who kind of is like, Kate, I got this, like, I'm good, like, thanks for enrolling me, you hit the jackpot. Like, that is actually awesome if someone has the inspiration and the skills to go run with this business. So sometimes we think, well, I've got to be the smart one. I've got to be the upline with all the answers. I've got to, I don't know, impress my enrollees. And sure, you want to be professional. You want to know how to guide them. But it's actually a good thing if you're kind of like, oh, damn, she is like, she's got it. Like, she knows what's happening. So that's called, recruiting up. And really think about that when you're prospecting people and you're contacting people and you're looking at your names list. Like, if there's someone on your names list that kind of intimidates you because they have more experience in business or they're more networked, go talk to them, like, right now. And that's what you can use your upline for. And, that's what you call upon your upline for, a three-way call. If you're feeling like maybe you don't have the skills or the knowledge, but you've got someone who's really well networked, then just get a 3-way call going, because it can really help you to actually close that person and enroll that person. My other advice is that this is a marathon, not a race. Okay, so it's super fun to be top enroller and to win things like Diamond Club, first place. Oh my goodness, you all are so amazing. Congratulations on that. That stuff is so good, but you know what's even better is consistently enrolling 1 to 2 people a month for 12 plus years and teaching them to enroll 1 to 2 people a month for 12 plus years. That is going to build you a not only financial support system for your family that is impenetrable, but that's going to also create a business that will continue to grow exponentially with or without you involved. So I always kind of think about that as like, how can I stay in the marathon? How can I pace myself? And how can I build in a way that's going to inspire natural duplication? Right? We hear people talk a lot about duplication, and you'll hear things like, if it doesn't duplicate, it doesn't matter. It's got to duplicate. It's got to duplicate. And I think sometimes we take that the wrong way, and we think things have to be cookie cutter and like this system, and nobody can be like creative or out on their own. And to me, duplication is something different. What duplication is I build my business in a way so that when I enroll Kate, she naturally enrolls Jan, and Jan naturally enrolls Tawny, and Tawny naturally enrolls Adrian. It's not some big thing. It's not like this big business or anything. It's just duplication. It's duplication. Like, I share the oils with Eliza. They're so freaking awesome. They changed her life. And it's so obvious and easy that she would share it with her neighbors and her family. And if you can create that in your business, mixed with a little retention, which I believe retention is education. If people are educated and know what these oils can do, they will never miss their loyalty rewards order. So if you mix that duplication with retention and sprinkle a lot of love and trust in there, you're going to have a business that just explodes. And I bet a few of your rock stars on your team would even have some of that experience to affirm with all of us. Those are some of my business tips. Never stop sharing the oils. I don't care how big your paycheck is. Just never stop, because this isn't about the money. This is about changing lives. And if you change enough lives, the money is going to flow, and it's going to be there for you in ways that you couldn't even imagine. And then you get to give back to your community and go and change the world. So for me, that's where it's truly, truly at. Yeah, that's my tips.
That was so good. Let's just like break them down a little bit. Yes, I totally agree. And I'm proud to say that I found people that are definitely smarter than me to help with building this business. I'm so grateful for my OGs. And then of course, I was lucky enough in the last few years to meet some young mamas who are ready to go out. And I think that that's what's so cool too, is just that you end up partnering. The relationships and friendships that we have from this community are just priceless. And, you know, we're now friends with people we would have never, you know, necessarily met. And Diana isn't on the call, but Adrienne is. And I just think of like their budding friendship and how much that's meant to Diana. And I just love it so much. So yes, definitely what was the phrase that you used, Arin, though, with that about finding people?
Oh, recruit up.
Recruiting up. Okay. Yes. I'm going to have to log that in my long-term memory bank. I 1,000%, as you know, agree with that this is a marathon. And I like what you just said too, because I know a lot of our team right now is doing Silver Club, and I know Diamond Club probably inspired them to do that. But what I'm trying to like get everybody's mind to wrap around is the fact that I was the only one doing Diamond Club with a pretty much Diamond Club organization. So everyone was funneling into, you know, I never expected for us to do that well. And that if you are doing the work and you are helping 1 or 2 people it doesn't have to be, 50. I mean, we see these people that get 15, 16, 30, and you're like, dang, like that's amazing. But really, if you're making slow and steady progress and helping the people that you bring on board to see the value of the oils and the value of the business and the value of sharing that, right? The reward of that. A couple of things that you mentioned. The first tip that you just dove in, and I think when you said your story, you said, was it ignorance on fire? Was that what you
Yeah.
used as your, okay.
Yeah.
So like that idea is something I totally resonate with too, and I agree, so many people get stuck in, I got a plan. I got to be ready. And they miss all this opportunity to just go and do it and sort of, dig into those fears and just jump in. Kate and Kanani said they're stumbling to the top. I mean, there's a reason why they're stumbling, and it's, so anyway, that's a call for another. But the other thing that you said, that retention equals education. And that is one thing that I think we on the Central Island Living team really pride ourselves in, is offering education and support. And I know that the visionary leaders do too. The quality of the education that you guys put out with Dr. Josie and just Aisha, and just the magnitude of expertise that you have on the visionary leaders team. I don't think people realize what we have access to. And so I want to take a minute to sort of plug that, you guys. If you're not in the visionary leaders Facebook group, and I got to admit, it can be overwhelming with all the groups and all the things. So I really want you to like edit your Facebook groups maybe this weekend. Obviously, you all need to be in the Central Island Living Builders and Builders group and our VIP community group. But Visionary Leaders group is a must. And what they have that we don't really have, because it's not really my thing, maybe one day it will be, is a freaking amazing website where everything is archived. Every call that they've had, well, not the oil talks. I know the oil talks aren't recorded. And Arin,
we do have them recorded.
Oh,
they're
you
just
do?
password protected.
Okay.
So it's like you have to be in the know to get those.
Got it.
And the password is always going to be success for anything on our website.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So, and it's hellovisionary.net, right?
.life. I'll put it
Not
in
life.
here.
Okay. Hellovisionary.life. All right. And it's posted in our groups, and I think it's pinned, but I know with so much, it's easy to lose track. But you guys, if you're looking for top-notch quality education, at just such a high superior level, you do not want to miss those calls and what they offer. And you guys are going to start oil talks again, right?
We're going to do a special oil talks specific for the wildfires.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of concern around the respiratory support, especially with so many structure fires. There's a lot of toxins that have gone out into the environment on the West Coast, at least. So if you know anyone who has been suffering because of the smoke, and I'm sure, on the islands you have VOG, so it can also cross over for that. But we're going to talk about respiratory support, lung support. We're also going to talk about trauma recovery. If you've been through an evacuation, that can be a traumatic experience. And then Dr. Mika is going to speak specifically to avoiding neurotoxicity, which is one of the concerns if you've been exposed to fire smoke that includes buildings that have burned down. So a building that is older than the 80s has asbestos in it. So that burns down, it's in the air. So this is some important information. And so we're bringing an oil talks out next Wednesday, 4 p.m. West Coast time.
Yes.
So that's like 1 p.m. your time.
And I'm pretty sure I have it as a scheduled post in our Facebook group, like either it went up or it goes up today. So I try to time it so that you have a couple of days to plan. Arin, real quick, what is the text info too? Because our team can get text reminders about calls, which I know is something I've asked you about. I actually have it right here on my notes. Texting service from Arin. So something I'm going to look into in the future. But what is that so people can opt in to text reminders?
So let me find it because I don't know it. Oh, there it is. Okay. So you text Hello Visionary, all one word, to 833-359-0069. And I'll put that in the chat.
I think I got it. 833-359-0069.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
And Hello Visionary is all one word.
And you can get text reminders about the calls. They also, you guys record them. They go live in the Facebook groups. So, I mean, you know, there's ample opportunity to watch them and catch the replays and that kind of stuff. So,
and you know what I'd like to say about that is, like, because there is so much information out there and so much going on, my advice to you is don't try to catch everything, but just know that hellovisionary.life is a resource for you. So for example, if you have someone who is dealing with ADD, we likely have a webinar on there. And so you can go and you can search for ADD and probably find a webinar for that. Another great way to use it is in your recruiting conversations. If you're working with someone who, knowing that there's a team of doctors that do this education, you can say, my team has doctors, practitioners, naturopaths, licensed acupuncturists, and they do monthly education that you get for free. Like, you get to claim ownership. Hellovisionary.life is your website. I made it for you. So you get to say, this is a resource for our team, and you get to claim that ownership, and I invite you to do it. So just know it's not about you like, oh, I got to get on that webinar and that webinar and that webinar. Just know it's all there. It's all recorded. You can always access it. And of course, you know, like with Oil Talks as an example, if it works in your recruiting conversations, like if you know someone who's suffering from the wildfire smoke, then absolutely invite them and come be on it live. But I want you to make it work for your business. Don't try to work for it, if that makes sense.
I love that. I think I needed to hear that because as being our own diamond organization, I think I've always felt like I've needed to provide all of that. And I think that that's still important, but I don't know that I've ever leaned into the Hello Visionary thing in that sense. Like, this is our website and our resources. So I'm really glad that we had you on to just say that and sort of give us permission to have ownership of it, right? It doesn't have to be like our upline community. It's our community. It's an extension of the living community. And it just means we have so much more to offer people in terms of education and support. So thank you. That's really and I know like Ray and quite a few of my leaders, especially some of them that live more on the mainland and the West Coast. FYI, I love that you said mainland, because, you know, that's a true local way of saying it. Okay, so
I'm telling you, I belong on Maui.
Well, we can't wait to have you back on Maui, because when you get your spot, that just means the more for us to get access to you. So I'm super excited about that. So before we wrap it up, does anybody have any questions or anything that they want to share with Arin since she's here with us today?
I have a question, Arin.
Yeah.
Hey, I was wondering, you know, thank you for sharing your story. And I heard you say that you used oils to heal yourself. And so I was wondering if you come from abuse, which I do. Do you have something on the visionary thing that kind of gives the protocol of what you do, or how you use the oils to heal yourself in that?
Yeah.
And then I also am in a community where, you know, people come from that kind of background, you know, drugs, alcohol, and stuff like that. So, yeah.
You know, I think we have a webinar, but it's not from my point of view, and I haven't reviewed it. So I would love to share some of my thoughts on helping people who are in recovery. But you could also go check out that webinar. I think it's called Addiction Recovery. So, you know, trauma wreaks havoc on our body. And if we go through a traumatic experience and we don't properly process it, which most people don't, that's what creates PTSD, which is something that I suffer from, and a lot of people who have gone through trauma do. And it is one of the reasons that trauma survivors often turn to self-medication in the forms of drugs or alcohol, or over-exercising or under-eating. Like, there's lots of forms of addiction. It's because they're in trauma response And rather than dealing with the trauma and processing the emotions, we use things to avoid feeling the pain. So when you're dealing with someone who is a trauma survivor, what they really need to do is they need to go feel the pain. And that is big, scary work. Super scary. It's like having a wound that has scabbed over and skin has grown over the scab, and you have to go like take the skin away, take the scab away, and completely reheal. It's hard, difficult work. But the oils are the heavy lifters for us, right? So absolutely, you know, encourage someone to get into therapy and to talk to someone. But if they have the oils too, it can really help to soothe the process. So there's a concept in yoga, and it's called samskara. And it's really what I'm talking about. It's when you have a heart wound. And for me, my heart wound was that my dad left when I was 2 years old. He left for drugs. He left because my parents got a divorce. And that was like this wound inside of me that I never really healed or felt. And then that wound gets piled up with another person leaves, another person leaves, another person leaves, till you get to the point where you have so many scars on your heart that you just shut down. And so what you have to do is you have to go back in and feel each of those pains, whether it's through therapy or meditation or prayer. But you can use essential oils to help you to release that trauma. So the aroma of essential oils has the ability to go into a part of our brain called the amygdala. It's where we store memories. It's where we store trauma. Nothing else can access it but aroma. Isn't that incredible, right? So you can use an essential oil. I love Whisper. That's one of my favorites, in combination with helichrysum. So helichrysum first to kind of start the healing process. And this is just smelling the oil. So I might smell helichrysum, apply it every day for a couple of weeks. And that kind of sets my body up for the healing process. Then when I'm ready to go into a memory, and if you were all at convention like 3 or 4 years ago, I think there was a meditation teacher or psychologist that got on stage and led us through that little meditation with the aromatherapy oils. And the concept is you go into the old wound. So for me, the wound was my dad left. And I go into that memory and like think about every single part of it, feel every single part of it. Remember what color the carpet was when, you know, he walked out of the house. Remember like what his aftershave smelled like. Remember every detail. And when you're remembering that detail, there will often be a limiting belief that kind of cycles through your head. So for me, it was, you're not good enough. You're not lovable. Your dad left means you're not lovable. And the key here is you have to grab that limiting belief and be willing to reprogram it. So what's the opposite of that, right? The opposite of that is I am lovable. I am good enough. I deserve love. And so that's when you take an oil like Whisper, or you could choose one for the emotional aromatherapy. It really doesn't matter what oil it is as long as it resonates with you. For me, it's Whisper. And as you smell Whisper, you say out loud, I am good enough. I am deserving of love. And every time you smell that oil, say that affirmation, you're rewriting over that neural pathway, over that trauma wound, a new belief system. It's really important that you do this after you fully felt the pain. You can't do it on top of unfelt pain, right? There's a saying that like emotions unexpressed, they start to break down our body. And so we have to express it, but then you use the oils to soothe that emotion, to help you release it a little easier, and then to rewrite over that. Now what happens is I felt that pain of my dad leaving and thinking I'm not good enough. And I've rewritten over it, I am good enough, with the anchor of the smell of Whisper. So every day I can put a little Whisper on my wrist, and I don't even have to think about it. But when I smell it, it's an anchor that goes into my brain and says, you're worthy and deserving of love. You're good enough. And now I've healed that wound and that scar. So that's a wonderful way to work with people. They can do it on their own. They can do it with their mental health provider. You can guide people through meditations like that. And it's incredible what happens when you just start to go in and feel the pain and feel the trauma, and then rewrite something positive over that negative mindset.
I'm not sure you realize, Arin, but Adrienne's kind of bringing me to tears because she's so emotional. And I think that you really
Oh,
spoke to her and helped all of us to recognize how we can help other people. And I've been hearing this a lot and talking to quite a few people about this idea of like leaning in to all of these emotions that we're feeling for various reasons, whether they're past, present, or even maybe things we're worried about in the future, right? With everything in our worlds being completely turned upside down. And I love that you gave a specific protocol to something that we can all do and all practice in terms of rewriting and programming. And you're pulling in to these ideas that we've been learning about, the power of the sense of smell, like 1,000 times more powerful than any other sense that we have, that you said that's the only you just said in your protocol too, that's that the sense of smell is the only thing that can get, was it the amygdala you said?
amygdala. So it's like past, it's your primal part of your brain. So it has no reasoning. You can't say, it's okay, you're safe. If your primal part of your brain goes, I'm not safe, I've never been safe, life is a scary place, no reasoning can get there. But an aroma can cut right through and go, hey, there's something different. Like we can change this pattern. So it's pretty cool. The amygdala, if you want to go learn a little bit more about that.
Just as we move forward, you guys, and Adrienne, you can.
And Adrienne, if you want to reach out privately to me anytime and talk more, I've got lots of advice, lots of citrus oil too, because you got to detox all those toxins out of your body. And something else for the addiction. So when I was I was a meth user, which is really, really hard to get off of. And what I did is Slim and Sassy, right? So every time I had a craving, I would put Slim and Sassy under my tongue. So whatever it is, if it's food, if it's alcohol, if it's drug, if it's internet shopping, if it's exercise, pick an oil that like cuts the pattern and smell it or put it under your tongue. And Slim and Sassy is a great one because it's also like a health tonic. Don't think of Slim and Sassy as a weight loss oil. It's really not what it is. It is like the most incredible health tonic we have in our oil collection, and it's great for addictions. So sorry, I just want to make sure you had that little bit. And of course, anyone wants to reach out to me privately about this stuff, I'm happy to help you with protocols.
Thank you, Arin. I wanted to just
Thanks so much. Awesome.
Sorry. I'm not going to end, Mom. Hold on, though. So I just wanted to encourage everyone as we move forward to sort of incorporate this self-care routine into your day. And if you are feeling emotional hardship, past trauma, present trauma, that little bit of space to lean into it and practice some of what Arin shared with us today. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm totally listening, but also very distracted by very cute baby Olivia over there. She is freaking adorable. All right, Mom, go ahead.
I just had a question, Arin. If there was one book on this subject about healing, because I'm attracting people that are needing this kind of healing. If there's one book that you would recommend that can go through this with the oils, which book?
Yeah, I would probably recommend, there's this book that Dr. Susan Lawton wrote in connection with, Eliza, do you have it? It's a blue book. Can't remember the name. Yes, that book. Who did she write that with?
Rebecca Linder Heinz and Dr. Susan Lawton. It's called Living Healthy and Happily Ever After. So, Mom, you're more than welcome to come snag it and borrow it from me before you get your hands on it. But yes. And I don't know if you guys remember who was with me when Dr. Susan Lawton came to Maui. I mean, this was like back. And we went to a presentation she did at in Hawaiian Homes Community Center on Maui or something.
I'm the one who brought her.
Yeah.
You were there? Okay.
Yeah,
that was amazing. Yeah. Well, we went.
That's so cool.
We went.
And
I'm probably
Yeah,
pretty sure that's where I got the book.
there's some good protocols in there. A Susan Lawton protocol that I used so much when I was going from gold to diamond, because in order to get from gold to diamond, I had to heal some major crap in my mindset. And she has this protocol where you put wild orange on one of your forearms and frankincense on the other one, and you rub your arms together like this while you say, I'm getting better and better every day in every way. And you do that 3 times, wild orange and frankincense. And it made some magic for me, like just getting out of that place. Cause we can do the comparison game. We can start thinking I'm not good enough. She can be a diamond, but I can't be a diamond. And that is crap thinking, stinking thinking, as they say. But it's that same thing. Like when you have a belief, a limiting belief, it's in your subconscious mind. So you can't consciously change it. You have to break through the subconscious at a root level. And the oils are so good at doing that. Oh, really? Okay.
Oh my gosh, Arin, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you a million times. Thank you. Thank you for just being you. Thank you for being so fearless in this journey and such a great leader. I'm so grateful for you. And I know this entire team is, and we're just thankful for your time and your wisdom today in both business and life and healing and hope and all the things. So we are eternally grateful, and your Maui family is waiting for you to get a second home here so that we can do all kinds of goodness with you. Real quick, I just had one quick question come in. Any books that you recommend specifically for affirmations? It looks like that was the question.
Yes. Okay. If you don't have this book, you absolutely have to get it. It's indispensable. Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And what's so cool about it is she breaks down different common diseases. Like you could look up backache, and she'll tell you when you have a backache, it's often rooted in, I think it's like not feeling safe. And then she gives you an affirmation to heal that particular thing. So you can combine her affirmations with your oil of choice. Like as you're putting on deep blue, say her affirmation. And it's a really interesting thing to start to learn about. Look, a lot of health conditions are rooted in an emotional place. And so when you start to help people, you'd be like, oh, you have chronic ear infections. Like, what aren't you listening to? What are your inner voice maybe? And she makes those connections for you, which are really interesting.
I love that. Real quick, Ray had a couple of questions. Oh, good. Thanks, Kate. And then Nicole asked, what are you saying with the wild orange and frank? And Kate wrote, I'm getting better and better every day in every way.
3 times.
Seriously, that's, you guys go every day, do that. Okay, Ray, go for it.
Hi, Arin. I have 2 questions and 1 comment. The first is the new moon protocols that you've shared. They're like, they changed my life.
Aww.
And helped me to help friends go through that kind of self-discovery. And I found that it leads a lot of people to the healing place, which is why I do this.
I love that.
My question, when you shared your process of, I heard 3 steps, basically, like 3 phases, right? So the first phase is set up. You're set up for your healing process. And I agree, that is like, it's critical. And I think that it's one that we skip over. So that people didn't dive in, and then it hurts too much, and then they got to go, and then they just don't deal with it. So you mentioned that you use helichrysum to kind of help set you up, right? You just kind of nourish your body and your soul with the helichrysum. Then the second step, when you go into the wound, which oil did you mention? Like, I think of black spruce as one that kind of evokes and helps go in. Cedarwood with wild orange and maybe some vetiver. Which oils do you use to help go there?
I'm glad you're bringing that up. And I think you're so right on reaching for tree oils, because a couple of reasons. Trees are like the grandfather protectors, if you can think of the personality that an oil has. So black spruce, Siberian fir, if you still have some white fir in your collection, that would be great. Forgive. So a tree oil. The other thing about tree oils is they help the lungs, and the lungs are where we store grief. So there's a big connection between grief, sadness, and the lungs. The other kind of aspect of that is what I do when I'm going into a wound, I actually do it at night before I go to bed, and I put my hand on my heart with whatever the oil is, because I want to just remind myself, like, this is scary, this hurts, but I got you. And I'm in my bed, in my room, so I'm safe. And crying is good. Crying is really good. Crying washes away that wound. But I love your idea of tree oils. I think that's a wonderful oil to use. So helichrysum starts the healing process, like opens you up to the potential of healing. Using a tree oil is going to protect you and ground you while you go to that scary space. Then I like whisper, but any of the florals, console, any oil that soothes your emotions, magnolia, maybe the new Divana, can be that one that you use to anchor the good or the positive thought, the uplifting belief to replace the limiting belief.
Great, thank you. And then you mentioned about the lungs, and I've heard that several times too, and how our lungs store grief. And did you say you also had citrus? Or
for the lungs specifically? Yes. No, I was saying that trees are really good oils to use with the lungs. But the most common tree oil for grief is going to be cypress. And I don't know if you can see here, but right about here on each side of my chest, that's a lung point. So if you're feeling a lot of grief, rub cypress, and it'll even be a little sore.
Yeah.
Rub cypress in there. Cypress is a big releaser, so be ready, because it can make everything kind of come out. So
that makes
time
sense.
Block your
because it's oil of circulation, right, and flow, right? So that totally makes sense. Yeah,
I think Divana would be a good one for that too, because it's really about like making the flow happen.
Divana. Okay, my last question. I once heard you say something to the effect of, in selecting the oils for you, it's an intuitive process, because obviously, I mean, everyone will be drawn to a different oil. So in that anchoring and reprogramming stage, that third stage, the affirmation stage, what's your advice for selecting the oils that draw you to that? What's your advice for listening to the oils?
I love that question. And it's, I just got my new oils yesterday, my convention oils. My kit was a little late to come, and I was so excited because I think of every oil as it has a personality, it has a spirit, it's a person. And so when a new oil comes into my house, it's like, oh, I get to meet this new friend that I love and I can't wait to meet. And so I've really taken the time to do that with every single oil. So I would encourage you that maybe once a month, get to know a new oil, or even once a week. And kind of the business side of this is when I first started building my business, my weekly class at my house was exactly that. I picked one oil and I would have spent the week getting to know it. And then when everybody came to my house, I taught them everything I learned and I gave them my notes. So I just think it's a great practice, and you can do it either once a week or once a month. And my process for this is I don't read anything about the oil. I don't listen to any calls about the oil. I just want to smell and experience the oil without anything clouding my experience. So I always take the cap off, smell it in the bottle, then I put a drop in my hand, and I feel the viscosity of the oil, because every oil has a different feel. So I'm using my finger, like this is what it feels like. Then I rub my hands together and smell it with my chemistry. So, you know, when we put the oils on our skin, it smells different than from the bottle. And then when I have it in my hand and I'm taking these deep inhales and my eyes are closed, I'm allowing the consciousness of the oil to kind of fill my senses. And when I did this with Tulsi, holy basil, oh my goodness, like that oil is so incredible, because every single like note of the smell feels, and maybe I'm a little bit of a synthesite, but it feels like a different tone of a song. It feels like a different color. And so I just really let myself like go into that. And I just trust like what comes to me. Sometimes I'll see a picture. Sometimes I'll feel a certain temperature. Sometimes I'll see like a type of person. Like whenever I smell wood oils, I see a grandfather like standing over me, putting his arms on my shoulder, and he's like protecting me. Whenever I smell a flower, I see like a heart opening. So this is your own journey. I would encourage you to have a journal and take the time to get to know that oil. So then every night, like I'm doing this right now with Divana, holy basil, and bergamot mint. Every night I'm going to apply that oil and ask it to come to me in my dreams, give me intuition, give me knowings. And I'm just noticing and journaling throughout that time that I'm getting to know that oil. And what this has created for me, and I think it's why I was able to make those new moon blends, is every single oil in my box is a friend that I have gotten to know and kind of communicate with. Then I go and do the research. And it's so cool because the research often is like right on, like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. That's absolutely what that oil can do. And this will also help you when you're like making blends, when you're deciding what to give people, because you'll have, it's kind of like you're a painter and you know each of your colors. So you need to spend the time to get to know each of your oils, so that they can, you know, work with you and talk to you, and you can have a really good understanding of what their personality is. And Emily Wright, I think, does this too, because if you notice, she'll be like, yeah, Devana's a flirt. That's what she said about Devana. Or Rose is like this queen. I'm like, oh, I see you. You're doing the same thing I'm doing. They're your friends.
Oh my
Thank you.
gosh, Arin, that so good. I don't know about you guys, but I know that I'm gonna have to go back and re-listen to this call all over again because I didn't take notes and I want to. Before we let you go, I did just push people to learning about your new moon protocols on your Instagram, but is there a better place for them to get those and the make and takes and stuff?
I have a Facebook group, the Jasmine and Juniper New Moon Circles.
Okay.
So I post in there every month. And then of course I do post on my Instagram. I don't sell the kits anymore, but I have the blends all in a Google Drive link. So I'll send it to you and you can pass it out to everybody.
Yeah, perfect. If you want, you can just post it in our build and share group. Or
okay, I'll do that.
I mean, you're in all those groups, which I love and appreciate. So
so you can just grab those and do whatever you want with them. You know, like if you want to make your own artwork or share it on social media with your own branding, you're welcome to. It's just my gift for you. Eventually, when I have time after having this little baby, I'm going to make full moon blends too.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Oh, you guys, today's call was such a special one, Cami. I can just feel how much you connected with it, and just looking at so many of you. Arin, thank you so much for taking the time, for reaching out. Ray, for asking those incredible questions. I love all the connections to the oils and to those of us that are teachers and the students. And I loved, Arin, how you connected to like the paint colors. That really speaks to all of our people who are so connected deeply to the arts as well. So we're just so blessed to have you in our lives, and just really to have always taken such great care of us and our community here on Maui. And we want you to know that if you ever needed anything, we would be here for you too. So if everyone could turn on their cameras really. Marissa just said she never cried scrubbing her bathtubs before.
It's great. Love it.
Oh my gosh. So if you don't mind turning on your cameras real quick so that we could take a picture. I'm sure when Arin does come to visit or move to Maui, she would love to come to see the schools.
Yes,
and
of
visit
course.
some of the students. All right, go ahead, everybody. Smile, baby. Yeah. She was so good this whole time. She did amazing.
She's getting the lay of the land. She's like,
Yeah.
I know how to do this.
She's like, I got this.
Emma, on the other hand, put oregano on her face today, so. I know.
I remember
Oh my
when
goodness.
Kay got the time bottle out of my box, but she learned real quick
Yes.
in oils that you just don't touch. You guys, thank you for showing up for yourselves, for your communities, for your team members and your businesses. But really, I think today was really showing up for ourselves and how maybe we can all do a little bit better job of that. Be kind to yourself, love yourself, lean into where you're at, appreciate all the good that you do, and just know that we are all here to support each and every one of you in your journeys. I love and appreciate you all so much. Arin, I love you to the moon and back. Thank you so much. Have a great Saturday, everybody. Bye.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
So much, Arin. We love you.
So much. Thank you, Arin. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Mom.
Erin.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Liza.
Bye, guys.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Amazing.
Bye.
call.
Thank
Oh,
you.
amazing call. Okay. Bye.
Oh.
Bye.